Hello. Let me see if I am online. Yes. Let's wait for everyone to join and then I'll start. 5 more minutes, please. It's 5:30 here in London. Hello. So this is how it's going to work. These are some commands I'll go through, but we'll start with some YouTube videos. I will show you the projects I have worked, and then we'll talk about the project I have opened here. Then this is the first part. Then we will see how to export from Maya. After that we will see how to import inside Unreal Engine. Second part. Third part we will see how to do the look dev. Then we will talk about some color space and ASYS workflow and etc. about the colors. Then we will see what I did with the textures in Substance Painter. After that I'll talk about lighting and rendering inside Unreal Engine, and I'll show you 2 other projects. And then finally we will see how to do import and settings in Nuke for ASYS workflow, import and export the final video. After every part, like from exporting Maya, I will stop and see your comments on YouTube here. And then from here I'll read all your questions regarding the first part. Then I will try to answer them. Then we'll move to the second part. This is how it will go, and every part will be like 15-20 minutes long. And after this 8th part will be, I'll take your questions, whatever questions you have regarding whatever I explained to you guys. Yeah. Okay, so I'll try to be as loud as I can because people are sleeping next to my room. Yes, please, if you can increase the volume, it will be great. And another thing, why I said that this video might not be on YouTube, because I have sent the mail to the people who have created these assets initially. So because I downloaded the rig, after that I textured and did the groom and then rest of the things. So I need the permission if I can use it online like this, because these rigs are free to use for your show reels, might not be for doing what we are doing right now. So I have sent them a mail regarding this. If they allow, I will put the this same video on YouTube soon. So let's see a few videos first. So this was the initial test which I did. This was the very first test I did, and then this was the second test. So this asset I downloaded from Ziva Dynamics. On top of that, I created the hair and rendered using Unreal Engine. All these videos are available on my YouTube channel. Then this was the variation test. And this will all make sense later on why I was doing all these tests like this. Then I created this one to start Kong. Using the same, I created this sequence. Wait, okay, very slow sound. Okay, I'll first I'll just complete these, then I'll speak a little louder. So this is the turntable for the another character. So this was the first one for the chimpanzee, and this is also a downloaded one. Then I textured it inside Substance and groomed inside Unreal Engine. Oh, sorry, Maya, and then lighting rendering done in Unreal Engine. Then I made this sequence from Planet of the Apes. The plan was to create the whole trailer, but I couldn't do it in time because it was so much time consuming to go through every asset, change lot of things, because I was still learning, and recreating all these was taking so much time. So I stopped after the three of these shots because animating was taking so much time. So most of the time my plan was to stick to Unreal Engine, but doing all of this was taking more time inside Maya instead of Unreal Engine. We will see this shot also. Then I created that lion, and this is the first one. Initial first test, but I'll show you the shots from where I started all this. And here's the next. We'll see this shot also. Then we have these. I'm showing you all this just so that you understand how the progress. And I will also explain what were the issues in these, which is not there now. So all of these videos look like same, but it has like 1 month of R&D between this one and that one to fix a very small thing, because it's not, there is not much help available about these. Yeah, so if you want, you can go to this channel and all these videos you can watch again. So this is the first project I will talk about, and I will show you what is going on here. Let's hide these characters and show you the set. So this set is also downloaded from Epic Games, and this is the city. So this is a huge city map. This is the same city I used for Kong, where there was Omnithopters and Kong and Godzilla was fighting. This is the same place, same city I used for that also. And let's see the characters. So these are the characters, and plan is to make a army of apes and lions, so them all walking in the city, just like we saw in Planet of the Apes, where they come to talk to humans about staying in their homes and they're staying in their homes. So this is the same shot. So what I will do next is create crowd, means more of these apes and lions walking together, and then cut shot them. So let's talk about, so this is one on place loop, which is parented to one small actor, and then it's all sliding. very heavy. Let's go and switch off few things so that it's already off. Maybe bloom. And so what is happening here is this lion and all these hair is attached to it, so attaching it's easier. So I'll explain you how to import and do all this in next project, while we will import and do the shader work and other things. And this is the second guy. The important part I want you guys to see in this project is the structure. So if you see here on my left side, in the project we have assets, which is called as AST. In that we have character. In the characters we have ape and lion. So ape is this guy and lion is this guy, lion. Inside ape we have more folders like ape ABC, which is for his T-pose and his eyes T-pose. This is not animated ones, animated ones are here. And then ape hair, so all the hair information, all the hairs which is exported from Maya are going to be imported here. All the hair shaders are here. These are the references for the ape. All the textures are here. Regarding the textures, all the ape shaders are here. All this will make sense later when we will talk about shaders. So all these folders are containing the textures I am using for the shaders and for the hair. Same hierarchy will have used in lion, and why this is also important I will explain you later when we will come back here from look development. Same thing here, lion ABC. So if you see this lion is in T-pose, he is not animated, and this is important for groom to work. So this is lion's body, eyes, his nails and whiskers, and again hair. Then again lion textures, all the textures are here. References are here, shaders. So if we see in the external editor, sorry, not here, ABC, open in Explorer. So if you see in my project folder what is happening, in my content I have AST, and in AST means assets I have characters. If you have set also, we create one more folder and you place the sets in there. Characters, ape. So everything related to this ape is in one single folder in this one. Everything related to lion, it's all in here. So if I want to use the same lion or same ape in any other project or any other sequence or in any other episode, I can just directly copy the U asset itself, the folder which is used inside Unreal Engine. I can directly copy this folder and paste it somewhere else in the same hierarchy, in the same folder. So if you don't have this hierarchy, it will be very problematic for you, because there will be multiple assets and multiple characters, and if the in studio multiple artists are working, they will all create chaos. So have this hierarchical system for your studio to work properly. And so all the assets come here. Same thing happens when you are in your outliner. Here also you will see the same hierarchy. So we have assets, which is AST, and the characters. Inside the set we have set. This whole set is in one single node. And all the characters are here inside the character. It is a huge shot, so it takes time. Now what we have here is Cine. Cine is for cinematics, so where we will save all our cameras. So if I switch on characters again and go to perspective and see, this is a cinematic view, shot 1 cam. This is a shot 1 cam. Now if I go to line face, so it's only showing me the next one, which is lion's face, this one. Next we have ape face, so this is for me to work with, so I can have multiple. So this is the shot I rendered or screen captured. Actually this is just a screen capture, it's not even rendered. This is a camera angle, and this is ape close-up. So this is a different camera angle, just to test how it is looking from different angles. So all the cameras are here, and also the sequencer. So we'll talk about sequencer in detail later. This is the sequencer. Now if you see here, also have similar kind of hierarchy where we have characters, and characters are in the folders. Ape is in, again, structure is very important. If you don't follow the structure, it will all fail, because if you have 2-3 shots, it's okay to do whatever you want, but if you have multiple shots, multiple episodes, the structure is very important. In our next folder we have environment. So this environment, I call it an environment. You can call it atmospherics or anything else. I'm just showing you how I use it. So it is having exponential height fog, post process volume, sky atmosphere, and skylight. Then we have lit folder. In this lit folder I tend to have my set lighting separate and character lighting separate. So this is the sun, which is for the set, and the character lighting is separate. All these lights are separate. Brim, fill, top, rectangular left, top, and front. If I show you inside in the view, now it is done. So this is the sunlight. And rim, so this rim is from camera left, hope it is visible to you. And rectangular lights, these lights are actually bounce lights on his right side. This is the building, so this is for the bounce coming from the buildings. And the second one, which is actually to hide darkness under the lion. So if I switch on lion, hide the lion, yes. So these dark areas, to fill these, I had to add one more light just to fill this darkness. Yeah, this was just a small overview. Now we will come back here after building everything, like from Maya to substance, textures, hair. Then we will come back again and I will go through all of this once again, how to assemble all of that information with structural way, and and why it is done this way. And there are more ways, I will explain those also, and when you can use those and when you can use this one. There are two different things. So why I chose to work this way, working with these files it's learning, it's much easier, because you will find a lot of tutorials how to attach hair, how to bind them, how to light, but you will never find any tutorial about structures and why this structure is so important. And this structure, mostly you will find one thing, but you will not get the structure, how to do look dev. Or maybe think about this way, you have a company where you have one department which is working in look dev department, which is doing all the textures and doing look dev. Second department is lighting, where they are taking the files from them and doing their work, which is lighting. This department then passes all these projects which is lit to the compositors, where it is getting beautified, or they're doing the art direction corrections from the art director and doing the final rendering. So all of these departments need to work together for one goal. So they all need to follow one single structure. If they all start doing their own things, it will not work. Yeah, so the texturing guys also need to follow certain type of folder structure, so that when those textures are imported here, they work. If they follow their own ways, it won't work, because texturing guys, otherwise you might be end up having one single person doing everything. He's the one who is doing texturing, then definitely he knows what to do, where to take the files from, and how to export it. If you have one guy who is doing everything, it's fine. But if you have 3, 4, 5 different departments doing separate things, then you need a structure so that every department follows their own things. For example, putting all these files in here, maybe importing and checking that this is working fine, everything is working fine, not lighting, not doing any shader work or anything, just checking that everything is working fine. Maybe this is a different department. Normally this is short finalization department in traditional ways, but you can also have it here, a department which is only downloading or importing all the files and checking that everything works as per the shot, and creates this sequencer. That's it. Once that is finalized, pass it on to the lighters. So lighters will then light the shot as per the mood and as per the storyline, wherever it is. but the short finalization team will just check, okay, everything is working fine, yes, the simulation is working, hair simulation is working, the files are working fine, all the alembics are fine, the range of the animation is also fine. So all these tests are done before even the lighting starts, because once in lighting it doesn't take much time. Now we will go and talk about how to export. So exporting from Maya, we will come back to this project once again. Wait, let me check. Do you have any questions? Wait, what was your render? All of this in lumen or path tracing? This is all lumen, nothing is path tracing. What your specs? So my system is 3090 and I have 64 GB of RAM. This is an old system, not old, but it's a powerful system. I bought it 4 years ago, and it has one SSD, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte of separate hard drive. How you create path of lion? Path, maybe I'll explain. It's not just the path, it's actually one single node, and it's parented, that line is parented to that node and just translated forward. So I'll show you now how to export things from Maya, and then I'll take questions for exporting. So this is the same shot I just showed to you. Lion and the guy. So don't judge my animation, because animation was not the goal, it was more Unreal Engine. So I just made this cycle to test Unreal Engine. It's not perfect. So first thing I just want to show you this guy. So if you see, his scale amount is 0.12. He was actually really big. He was not big, actually the lion is very small. If I show you, so he's like very small as per the real world scale. So I will show you why this is done, and exporting, importing, how it works. So to export the characters, alembics is very simple. You just need to select the character and cache, alembic cache, export selection to alembic. So we export two things. First is current frame from the T-pose, which we will come back later on, and second is from your time slider or start or end, like from 0 to whatever numbers. So this walk cycle is only 42 frames, so I can manually say 42 frames or say time slider if my time slider is set to 42 frames here, like from here. If we go down, we have few other options. So if you are using namespace, which normally we do in production houses, strip namespace, even if it is there, it's okay. UV right, so if you want the alembic to have the UVs or not. So currently we do have these UVs on this character. Other than that, we need right face set. So this face set is very very important thing. What it does is all the shaders are not applied to the mesh itself. So these shaders, select object with material. If you see, it's applied on the not on the mesh, it's applied on the sub object level, which is faces. If you don't apply the shader on faces, you will not get this shader inside Unreal Engine. This is very important, and this happens only with the Alembic, not with FBX. So this shader should not be applied like this. Don't do selecting the mesh and apply. Don't do that. You need to select the faces. Now faces are selected, and then apply selected material to viewport selection. This way what you will get is this guy. You will not even get the main shader itself. This is what you will get. So the shading group gets imported inside Unreal Engine, not the shader itself. So the shading group need to be named properly, whatever your character is. If it is body, then name it lion, rig, body, blah blah blah. Or if it is eyes, name it eyes, because these shaders will get imported when you will import this Alembic file. All of these are just done the same way. So if I select this guy, it's not applied. Here, teeth, these are separate parts. Maybe see his eyes. If you want, I can show you what changes I have done for his eyes. And so his teeth are and gums are one piece. This is how it was, so I couldn't do anything. All are one piece, and eyes. So normally what we do is we create two spheres, one for inner side, which is iris, and second one is for the sclera, outer white part. Here what is happening is we have one part which is outer white part and only the iris, and we are making a transparent map just for this portion so that we see the iris which is inside. So instead of having two spheres, one and second one inside, and making the top one totally transparent, we are not doing that. What we are doing is we are using one single sphere and only making it transparent this much. Only the front part is transparent and we see the iris inside. This will be more clear when we will talk later. I'm just showing the mesh, how it is laid out in here. Then next part is whole frame geo. So this is important when we talk about these kind of things. So if you see this cylinder or this sphere is in his hands, so the cylinder's position is always 0 0 0 as per the hands position. It doesn't change cylinder's position. So in the world the position of this sphere might be different. So when you have prop issues or props, you need to bake them in world space, not in local space. So if you switch this off, this sphere might jump somewhere around here. where it was created on 000. So for the sake of these kind of props and all, please use whole frame geo. Sorry, word space, not whole frame geo. Whole frame geo is for these maps, these frames, so it will not write in between frames. Then write UV sets. So if you have UV sets, we only have one for this one. This one is also having one. If you have multiple UV sets, you need to switch on write UV set, and then export this file. Sorry, not from here. Hash alembic time slider export. So I have already exported all of these. This is the export short one. Now again you see export where it is exported in short one, and in short one we have separate folder for ape and separate folder for lion. Ape, so this is the body of the ape, this is eyes and teeth for the ape, separate. Why? Because you can keep assigning the files. If you want, you can have all of them go in one, but keeping them separate makes it easier to just change the part you want to change. This is the lion, so this walk, if I export, this is the file. Eye, teeth, nails, whiskers, everything, all of these are exported one by one just by selecting it here and cache, alembic and export. Just keeping in mind that all these shaders are already applied to these characters, not on the main group, on the translate, on this shape, not on the shape, but on the sub-object level, on the faces. If you do this, then all the shaders which you applied here will come inside Unreal, otherwise they won't come. Now next part comes how to export the camera. So maybe this is the camera. So this is our camera 1, and you have animated him from here till here, this way. So from here camera goes to this place. If it is animated like this and you have camera in your outliner like this way, it's easy. Just bake it first. Keys, bake the keys, so all the keys will be baked, and this camera you can just export it normally as you export. Have bake export selection, so wherever you want to export it, go to anim short 1 and not here, anim export short 1, create the camera and export. Name it as short 01 cam and export. You need to switch on camera on your right hand side. So animation, yes, we do want animation and we do want cameras. There is option to bake it if you want to bake while exporting. I'll suggest not to do that and bake it and check it before exporting. So first bake it so that you get all the keys here. Bake and all cable blah blah blah, apply, and you get all the keys. So check if this is working fine. Sometime you might see that it's skipped or it's not baked properly. When it happens, when you have a camera which is rigged, so maybe you have cameras which is attached to some controllers or something, or you have multiple groups assigned to it. So this is the camera group. Not groom, it's group. So you have camera group which is there at 000, or maybe the camera group is here. Now if I bake it, the keys will be same, the motion is same, but it will not come here. The camera will come here, but if I want it here, maybe this is also keyed, and you want the camera to come here, you can't bake it this way. You have to duplicate it. So either duplicate it with connections or just duplicate it as it is. So duplicate it and take it out of this group. Then constrain the camera, first camera to second one. Parent constraint. Now the second camera also goes along with the first one. So if you see, we have two cameras on top of each other. Now you need to bake this guy. Bake the second camera. Bake simulation. Now even if I hide the first one, you see the second one let's break, delete selected. If you see, the second one still is animated at the same place. Now if we export it, it will come correctly. So when you have camera rigs, don't directly select the camera and export it. Duplicate it, constraint, parent constraint, then bake it and then export it. So you will get world space for the camera, not as per the camera group or the other rig parameters. Yeah, I hope this is all making sense. So this is how you export the cameras and how you export the rigs. Now when we talk about Alembics, this is easy. When we talk about FBX, it's a different story. FBX, you need to have all the hierarchy, all the joints need to be baked. So not just the mesh. So in the mesh you bake blend shapes, you bake any deformers, and also FBX don't support some of the deformers, so you need to make sure that your rig supports those things which you are using in Maya. And not all of them are supported. So you can export bake first all of them, your blend shapes and joints. After that, export them all. Similar to this, you just export them from export selection and you will get it inside Unreal easily. Let's see. So if you have any question regarding this portion, please ask. Now if all artists are working in a same file on a same project, then if there are any chance of file crashing, yes, it can crash and it will crash, not because of the problem with Unreal Engine, but because of human error. People can do things which they don't supposed to do. So don't make all the artists working on the same project at the same time. You can do that, but it takes a lot of automation and restrictions in the same studio, so that every department is working on their own level inside the project and not on somebody else's level. So in final file we have master level, which is collecting all the information from set, from characters, from look dev, from FX, from digital matte paints. All these are separate levels and all these departments are working on separate levels. The project is one, but they all are working on separate levels. They are saving their own work, and from there you are having one master level here which is importing all of these, and from there you are rendering the final output. This is possible, but this again, it takes time to automate all of this, because every department needs restrictions so that they cannot access or do changes in somebody else's work. Yeah, this is the okay. Then what is the solution of this problem? Yeah, this is the solution. You need to restrict the artist and give them separate levels to work on. They can work in the same project and then make a master level and import all of this in that one. So your levels are imported inside one level, and all of these levels are assigned to separate departments. They can work together. Don't do this. This is really difficult to manage. Is there any short finalization department required for the Unreal Engine? It's not required for the Unreal Engine, but it is required to prepare the file for the Unreal Engine, because in Maya files are in 3D, and you need to export these files and check if these are export ready or not. So your files are the short finalization team need to check if this character is latest or not. You might be having episode 3rd and the rig is 67 version of rig after the changes. So the short finalization team need to check if the rig is correct, the latest one is not or not. They also need to check the penetrations or the characters on the floor or not. So all these things need to be checked before it goes to Unreal Engine or before it is getting exported, because that takes time. So you need to be very sure that everything is working fine and then finally send it over. Also, short finalization team is also working as a one single point where everything comes together. So your simulation of hair, your cloth hair simulation, they also collect all of this and that and export it for Unreal Engine, and then import it inside Unreal Engine and create the shot for the lighters. So they need to check the files. So they open the file, check everything is working, export all of this, check that everything is latest and as per the approved shot. So not just open and export, check if this is approved one and this one is matching, then export it. Sometimes what happens is the Playblast is latest, but the file which is there in my hand is not latest, so you export the wrong file and that gets rendered and then it reaches to the directors. So checking all of this, exporting all of this, then importing inside Unreal Engine, and having those hierarchical structures in place, and then passing it to the next department, which is lighting department. Most of the time don't need to do much if the file is correct. Otherwise what happens is lighting department only speaks to the previous departments that this is wrong, that is wrong. All this fighting you can eliminate if you have short finalization team in between. So they check it beforehand, and lighters don't waste their time fighting with these technical issues, not having proper length of the animation, maybe few frames here are missing, or there are missing, or there is a prop missing, or there is a texture missing, or the camera is wrong, or the animation of camera is not matching. Lots of these things you will get eliminated if you have short finalization team which checks all of this in advance before they pass this thing to the next department. Is there any short finalization? Yes, it's possible to work on process in Blender. It's the same process. It's the same thing. You don't need anything, need to change anything. It's the same process. You can use Blender or whatever, 3ds Max. The process is the same: exporting, importing, short finalization, and everything is same. Do we need to make a copy of our shots before baking everything, because later on if there is a correction then it will be active to do corrections on a baked file. So the files which are exported are different. Short finalization team have a separate file. It's not the same file as lighters, or it's not the same file as animators. So short finalization team can take the lighters file, work on it and then export it. They are not saving it, they are just compiling it. So before exporting, maybe they are baking it, but they're not saving it, so it's never baked. Don't keep the baked file, because it has no use. You can bake the file again and again if you have the main file. So they don't need to save the baked file, they just need to have their own compiled file at place. Baked file don't need to save. Graphic card, I have 3090, 3090 Zotac. Any rigging available for Blender? I don't have any rigs for Blender, but you can find plenty of them online, just like this one. These two I found online and started doing my R&D on this. So let's go to the next part. I hope that made sense. So now we will see how to import inside Unreal and create the shot. I need to wait for these files to open. So again you see the structure, it's still there. So everything is in assets, character, now the line and ABC, all the alembics are here. So first exported one single ABC, as I told you in previous file. So you need to export single T-pose ABC. This is for the hair to bind and also animation. I'll explain you how it works. So this is just single frame of the lion in T-pose, and in here lion animation we have the lion animation, which is just the walk cycle, the same walk cycle which we just saw. So, and this is the level for this character. I think I removed all of that. Let's open this one. Where is it? Oh, okay, there is no light. So let's do it from the scratch. So there are things in this shot which is not visible. We need to add lights. So these are the light things we need initially. So till now, as per my experience, you must have these things in your scene, like skylight, post process and all. So take the post process volume, and I'll also show you what to do and what not to do. I mean what not to touch at all. Infinite unbound, and create a folder again, env environment. All these things go into environment. Now what we need is fog, exponential height fog. This will also go in the same folder. Now we need lights. For sun we need directional light, call it sun, create a folder called lit. So you can have separate folder for characters, separate folder for set for characters, and sets. Lighting can also be different in separate folders. So set is here now, and our lighting also need to go in set. Let's see, here it is, and let's open the line rigged. So this is just a sequencer. You can just create the sequencer from here, add level sequence, and it will generate this kind of level sequence. Save it wherever your shot is. So you can have a new folder, call it shots. In this you save your shot in your folder SQR for sequencer, save it, and you get your new sequence folder. Now we have got two here. Same thing with this guy also, lion rigged. So if I go to the other one, we have camera and the camera cut. So what I did in this one is just created one more camera like this. So you can create the camera from here or import your camera from here. Don't import your cameras from here, import into level, don't do that. Go to this file and import. So importing the camera from this folder only. Like if I try, here is the cam. This is it's a different shot, but if I import it, it will ask me all these questions. So you need to check what is your scale in your Maya file. If it is 1/10 of the file size, like not in real world, if you are using 1/10, which I also support, use 1/10, and then while importing inside Unreal, just make it 10 times bigger so that it matches with real world scale. So if you have 6 feet person, don't make him 6 feet inside Unreal, make him 0.6 feet inside in Maya, and while importing him in Unreal, scale it to 10 times so that in Unreal it is real world scale and in Maya it's smaller. Keeping them small inside Maya also makes it cache faster, also makes all the simulations, all the dynamics makes work faster. Also the scale of the character, if it is too big and it is too far away, so if the character is too big and this is 0 0 0, he will also move away from 0 0 0 a lot. So if it is far away from the 000 origin, it might give you problems, issues with faces are not having correct normals while you import it inside Unreal. So keep them close to 000, and good way is keeping them smaller so they are closer to 000. If they are 10 times bigger, they will go further away from the 000. So here what I need is create camera. Yes. Replace transform track. No, I want transform track because that transformation is carrying the animation. If I replace it, it will create a new transform in here and replace it, which we already have with the camera. Don't have it. Don't click on reduce keys. It will reduce in between keys its own. Don't do that. So just switch off all of these. Just only thing we need is create camera and import uniform scale. So whatever scale you used inside Maya, if it is 1/10, 10 times, importing 10 times bigger here, and just click on import, then you will get the camera here. This is a different camera, that's why we don't have anything looking from here. So I'll show you this camera also in a different file. Let's see what we have here. So what we have is this sun, which is here. Let's have two viewports. And let's have the light coming from behind, left, and we are missing one thing, the sky atmosphere. Without atmosphere we don't have the atmosphere. This also goes inside Unreal environment. Yeah, and now we can create sunset kind of a environment. Keep it movable, and intensity, it's all in your hands. So all this is hand painted in Unreal only. So in your foliage you can paint all these foliages. So this is part of the set, instance foliage actor. Don't place them one by one, it will be really heavy. Keep them as foliage. Now we do need one more light at least for as filling the shadows. So this one is our main sunlight, a little orange, and this is our second one, not so orange. Multiple lights are fighting, blah blah blah. Go to the sunlight. This is the fill light, call it fill sunlight. Type here priority, and forward shading priority, make it 50 or 70 or whatever, so that this light does not fight to be sun with this light, because these things need one sunlight. So now they will know that this is the sun, so because it has the highest priority. Now import the files. It's already imported. So importing is just like, import and go to the folders wherever we export it. So it was in POTA. POTA is for Planet of the Apes. Apes export, and short one, lion walk, blah blah blah, and open. So when it says static mesh, if you are going to use hair with Alembic or FBX, use skeleton mesh. If it is not hair, use geometry cache. Geometry cache will not work properly with hair deformations when it's fur. If it is only attached like head hair, it's okay. But if it's going to deform like fur on body, then use skeletal mesh. Then after that, next part is, so import type, all of these are same. Start frame, end frame, it will take automatically. So this is the 42 frames which we exported from Maya. And skip empty frames at start of Alembic. So sometime what happens is in Maya your shot starts from 121st frame and then onward something 70 frames here. But if you don't switch on this, what will happen, you will also get frames from 0 to till here, and then all this. So if you want to, you can just skip calculation of this, so that it only gives you 172 frames till 200 something, not all of this. If you want, you can skip this, but as our files are only, we exported from 0 to 42 only, we don't need to do this. Forcing one smoothing group per object, you can do this if you want, it's okay. What I prefer is hard edge angle threshold, keep it low. If you increase it, it will give you faceted effect, not like smooth edges, smooth surface. Don't recompute normals, because it will recompute if you have something computed inside substance. So your main Maya file was exported to substance, you created the normal map, exported the normal map. Now here, if you change the recompute normal, this normal map might not look correct or match what you want it to be. Here materials, if you want this to have create materials, then click on it, it will create the material. So as you know, we exported the mesh with one single mesh node of the shader attached, so it will create this material which is here. If you don't click on it, it will not create. Or you can say find materials. So currently we already have the same material here, we can call it find materials. So it will find this material and assign it to the mesh. Yeah, presets, Maya, everything is fine. Now we have scaling, and this is important part. You don't need to do this inside if you are working with FBX. This is only for Alembics. Scale and rotation. So you understand this, maybe I can show you something, half of it. So if you, after this, if you import, you will get this. So let me just explain you why we need to have. So if you see here the coordinate system, y is this way, this is y, this is x, and this is z. This is Unreal Engine coordinate system. In Maya, this is y, not z. So this y is facing this way in Unreal Engine. Y is facing this way, Unreal, but in Maya y is facing up and z is facing this way. So what we need from Maya, z to become Unreal Engine z, which is going this way. So Z goes up if I rotate in X 90 degrees, but Y is going that way instead of this way. So we need to scale the Y in minus X so it faces this way. X, so X, Y, Z. Now this is matching with Unreal Engine coordinate system. Once again, this is Y in Maya. Rotate to make Z go up and scale Y in minus so that it matches with Unreal Engine system. This is what I just did when I clicked on import the file. So down here you have 1, minus 1 and 1. If you have 1/10 size, make this 10, minus 10 and 10 and 90 degree rotation. So you are scaling in minus in Y, yeah, and rotating it 90 degrees. This is not the only way. You can also go reverse, like 270 degree this way and blah blah blah, and lot of other ways I have seen online. Just understand what is happening. You just need Z axis to come up and Y axis come going in. So in Maya and Nuke we have Z depth. Here we have Y depth, in depth, not in Z. That's the only thing. So you can have your own combination, you know, to match the coordinate system. But this is the easiest. Scale in Y, minus, and rotate in X. Easy. From here, for now, let me just hide the instance and take the line. Now what we are going to do is attach all the hairs and attach the animation and put him here so you understand the whole thing. CHR for character and place him in under assets. Lion goes in character, lion. Definitely takes time, but it will save you a lot of time if you keep creating the structure as you go. Now from here you attach groom, call it maybe body, and similar to this mesh we do have hair. So this hair is also one single frame. It's not sequence, it's just one single frame. So if I show you this way, this is the body, and to make this thing work you need to go to plugins and switch on groom. These need to be switched on, groom and Niagara particles. This one, these two need to be switched on. Also there are a few more things I will explain you in render settings. So in body, this body goes in here. So as soon as I do that, you see the hair is attached now to our character, but the shader is not what we need. So this shader is default shader, we don't need it. I have made my own shader which is inside texture line shaders. So this is the one, or maybe this is the one. Let's see. Nope, definitely this one. Yeah, we do have one more. This is the one. It's too bright. This is too dark. We'll tweak that, not an issue. Now if you see here it says binding asset. We'll come back to this why it's required. First we need to create all of these. So let's go and select again, go to groom and call this one main, and again go to here, lion hair, find main, assign, and again the shader, main groom instance, done. Now what we have is our lion with body and mane. Same thing for face, I'm just showing you, then we will open separate file which is already done because it will take time. Now it's also having face, just assign the face shader, face groom instance here, and keep these in separate channel if you want, so your character files can be on first channel and your set elements can be on your 0 channel. It all depends on you. I'll prefer to have them separate in separate channels, so sets are on 0, characters on 1. Sometime keeping them on one channel is required when the set light is also if you want to affect the characters. So on those situations, keep them all in one single channel. There is no light linking like Maya in Unreal, so you just need to have lights on separate channels. So this light, fill light, maybe only works on channel 1, it won't work on channel 0, but my character is also on channel 1, so my fill light also starts working on the character, not on the set. So it all depends on you how you want to use it. Now from here we import this character in our sequencer. So I'm just showing you the journey, importing, attaching and everything. If I select the character, so this is how we create the shots, different shots. Now we only have one character, but I can attach different animations. So I can choose lion body anim and change the animation here. Currently it's only having lion body T-pose animation, which is 1 frame. This is only just 1 frame animation, which I just stretched to repeat itself. Now if I change the animation to lion body anim, it goes to animation mode, and as you see, the hair is not following. So to assign the animation, you also select this guy, properties, animation. If you have next shot, you can change the animation to other shots, so you can create multiple shots just by changing the animation, and all the hair, shader and everything remains the same. You don't need to change anything at all. So we can assign the shaders to the character, lion shaders, I think this is the body file. Yep. And he is walking. But the hair is not going with him, so we need to attach. That's why we need this T-pose. If I try to bind it now, the body is away from him and the hair is here. So what will happen, it will not bind properly. So what we need is the mesh, the binding mesh, the original mesh need to be in the same exact position where the hair is. That's why we need T-pose. So now again we have the T-pose, back to his position and remove the animation back to T-pose. And now go to body and create binding. Go to create binding, select the mesh, skeleton mesh already have, and body T-pose. So bind with T-pose, create, as you see here. We have this binding, and this is the binding asset. Select this guy. Same thing with main. So you go to main, create binding, select the T-pose, create, and main here, attach. Same thing for face. Face, right click, create binding, T-pose, create, face, and done. So if you see, all of them are now having the binding with the mesh. Now if I change the T-pose, line T-pose, to motion, which is this guy, the hair goes with it. You see, it switched to its position, it's not there anymore. Now I can also change the animation, and what we have is character moving with hair and all. The quality of hair is not up to the mark because there are some commands which need to run so that we see the hair quality better. Right now it's not there. Now from here, how I move it is just, maybe currently I can just drag him here, which is already here, and animate the transformation of it forward, not from second frame, sorry, from 0 0 0, and as for the camera, don't do this in your shots. Maybe you can cheat it if the feeds are not visible, but right now I'm just using it to save some time. So that's it. Here it goes. La 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 la. And height. Have the instances on, so you have your lion walking. It's sliding because it's slide. I can also go in and change the curve to not have these smooth transitions, instead have linear, so there is no there are more things which need to be changed. So all these lights, normally what I do is have this indirect light intensity a little higher, like 1.2 or 1.5, depends. And inside post-process volume there are a lot of things which need to be changed. So this camera which I am using right now, here is controlling the light intensity. So if I set the post-process volume auto exposure to manual, it's gone dark. Now I have to compensate it with light exposure. With manual metering mode, you can go manual, or you can have this thing go on as per the auto exposure. It all depends on you. So 1 and 1 will give you this. Then you control the light from here, or you can use auto exposure as manual and control the light intensity in EV and control the light intensity as per your camera aperture. So if I smaller aperture will give you darker and bigger aperture will give you. This also controls how the depth of field will work. So smaller aperture will give you more blur in the depth, and bigger values will give you sharper image. So this is how the real camera works. If you want to do it this way, you can go for this, or if you want to, you can go with auto exposure and keep it as 1 or 0 or whatever numbers you want, and then control with the light here. It all depends on you. Then we have the skylight and console variables. We'll talk about this later. Currently I'm just applying one simple some commands. So this is how you compile the shot. So overall, and we'll talk more in detail about these commands and other things in separate project file. Any questions if you have regarding importing, setting up these things, cameras and everything, please type now. Where were we last? Your end do it by is there any shot management you want to make a copy of shot, baking everything, need rigging of the blender, protection map using sRGB open cryo. We will talk about textures, color space and everything in next file. When I will open the substance file, I will explain how to manage that, because it's not a small thing. I'll explain, because it's not just textures, it also need to be maintained inside Unreal, it also need to be maintained in Nuke or any other editing software. So it has to be, linear from when you start it and till the end. We will talk about this for sure. Is it laptop good enough for? So laptops are like half of the power which you get in a desktop. So 3090 laptop is like half powerful than 3090 desktop. That's the difference. But 6 GB is not enough. The shot I just opened, it might not work on this shot, or you will struggle with it while scrubbing. It will crash, because 6 GB it's really easy for Unreal to take 6 GB. Whatever correction is there, it has to be fixed in Maya or Unreal before passing it to lighting. Whatever corrections, yes, it has to be fixed inside Maya, not in Unreal Engine, because Unreal didn't make those things. Those changes are made inside Maya. So from Maya, it is only going inside Unreal Engine as it was in Maya. So changes need to be done inside Maya itself before passing, because in Unreal you are just taking it there for rendering because of the speed you get from Unreal. So you cannot change things. Maybe you can, if you have animated inside Unreal, you can change few things, like keeping them up on the surface, but you cannot remove the penetration. It has to go back to the animators and they will fix the animation. Then you again check it and re-export it and check it inside Unreal Engine. So in Unreal you are only lighting and rendering, no fixes at all. All has to be coming from the previous departments. What is the difference in importing from file and from sequencer? what is it? From file and from sequencer. Okay, so when you import it from import into level, if you import it from here, the camera, you will not get you will not get this information. Wait, I think it's this information, which is film back. All this information will be wrong. So this is what we are getting from Maya, and if you don't import it properly, it won't be correct. So currently, if you see, the sensor aspect ratio is 1.777, so it's 1.7, which is 16:9. The other file which we will open is a cinemascope, which will have different sensor aspect ratio, which is maybe it's 139.1. so this information you won't get if you import it from here. For the cameras specifically, and also sometime these informations won't get baked in, like camera aperture and all, which is required. We will see one more shot where we have the cinemascope scene. I will explain this again, sensor aspect ratio and all. So you don't get the exact values of camera and all here if you don't import the camera from sequencer. So don't import from here anything, always import here for your Alembics or FBX, and your cameras from here. Import. You can also export the cameras or the characters mesh if required, but the mesh will be triangulated, not quads. Okay, next. Can you make selection sets while exporting Alembic? Yes, it's very difficult to import separate Alembic in fast production. Can we say make selection set import separately? You just need to create the Alembic or these selection sets once, not every time, because the T-pose will only have the selection set. All the animations, you don't need to do that. So if you have one production for episodic, like where you have 400 shots, you are only doing it once, not 400 times, because once it's there once, and then you are just changing the animation. That thing remains wherever it is, because you are referring the same mesh again and again. So your rig, wherever render rig is, that render rig will have those selections or those shaders assigned once, then definitely, because you are referring the same files again and again, so your Alembics or your animation will have the same files, same animation. Your T-pose will have the same animation. You don't need to do it again at all. It's always there. If I understood right, please ask again if I answered something else. Sometimes if I see animation getting offset few frames while importing, why is like that? Yeah, that's why you need short finalization team. So importing or having offset, it depends on, maybe your character is not cached at the world space system. Maybe it's localized, so it is parented to something else, and that's why it's having offset a little bit. And other thing is when you are baking multiple characters at the same time. So in Maya you do have different ways of, what is the next file? You have different ways of importing, or calculating. This also create issue, which I'm going to show you now. So if you go in your settings, setting preferences, animation. So if you see, this evolution mode is set to parallel, so there are two more, DG and serial. Try switching to these if you have these kind of issues, you know, offsetting, or you know, frame is going off or eyes are going out and in, because mesh is having different keys values and eyes are having different keys values. Then try to switch to these, it might fix those problems. Also, there is one more thing inside Unreal. Check your default FPS. If you are importing the files, if the sequencer is not on, by default it is importing on 30 FPS by default. So maybe when you are importing and you don't have the sequencer created at all, still you are importing in 30 FPS. And then when you create the sequencer and set it to 24 or 25 FPS as per your movie, then you might get, you know, your frames squeezed or extra frames depending on how you are importing it. So check this one also. How, when you are importing, first check the sequencer how many frames it is set to. If it is set to 30, then it will import as 30 frames per second, not 25. So you might get, instead of 100, you might get, you know, 96 or 95, or some frames are missing. It's not missing the length, it's actually squeezed. The length is fine. Okay, great. So let's go to the next file, next thing. Let me show you the look dev. Okay, don't save. It's already 1.5, 2 hours close. Yeah, it is going to take some time. So this is the look dev file where the character is in T-pose. And this is an old file, not updated with shaders and fur, but that's fine. What we need to understand is the setup. So again, AST, characters, ape, all the things are here. So this level of ape is also inside here. It should be, but it's not. So you keep the file, this main, it should be called as ape LVL or something which makes sense. And then this should be inside your ape level here, where you have. So again, ABCs are in ABCs, and the animation is also here, which should be in here, animation, anim. This is just the animation. So this shot is different. Now wait. Now if we go to the ape level, what we have here is same character, eyes, T-pose, everything, and the character is also in the same similar kind of hierarchy. All these hair nodes and their binding assets and all, and the camera. So we have two cameras here. You can have multiple cameras as required. So if I go to the cameras, this is the face camera. Where's the eyes? And we do have full body camera, which is this one. So if I go through the timeline, it looks like this. So this camera is actually till here, and then switches to face camera. So this is done here. So this is full body. If you see, read it here, it says full body. So this one is bind with full body camera, and this one is bind with face camera. So you go from here till here, and this was rendered, and this is the same thing which I showed to you earlier on YouTube. Here, this is the same render. So this is full body, and this is the head done. So the setup, this is what the texturing artists do. They create this file and pass it to the look dev for the lighters to do the look dev to get the approvals. So texturing artists create this file, which you see here. So for first, this is used by the texturing artists for the approvals, and then the same file gets used by the lighting artist for look dev. So this project goes from texturing artists to the lighting artists, same project, and from there the lighters take the file. So if it is approved, then it's very easy to take the file. So what lighters do is they just go, so if I go to the Explorer, what lighters will do is they just take this asset from the folder and copy paste it in their files. So their look dev file remains wherever it is. We just take the file from here and paste it in our another project. That's it, and it works because the hierarchy is same. So look dev file, getting the approval on this, and then pasting it inside your files. Any questions regarding what we have here? Same things you use for sets, same things you use for your characters, same things for the props. So the close this and go to default viewport. So here we have this stage, simple. Again, post process volume, all the things are same. Exposure 1111, bloom, default, all these lens flares, switch them off, and you don't need path tracing. If needed, yeah, you can switch them on if you are working in path trace. For now, I won't suggest, it takes so much time. Don't. Global animation or lumen, whatever. Lumen. Yeah, that's it. And these again, 3 lights, key, fill, rim, and yeah, I think that's it from this one. Any questions? Please explain more about hair console variables. Yes, I'll when we'll talk about lighting and rendering, I'll talk about those. Anything else regarding this? I'm waiting. Okay, so continue to next. We will talk about this in next. So substance file. Okay, let's open substance file. First, see the lion. So this is the lion. So as you see, it's all very rough because of there will be fur on it, and this is all projected. All the textures are projected from images. Few things I have painted, but most of them are just projections. And if I switch off these, you will see something else. So this is the textures for main. So created these mains inside Yeti Maya. This is the color mask. This is main color. I'll show you all this inside Unreal, how these are used. Lion's face, clumps, body light. So all these masks will be used inside Unreal. Chin, tail, chin again, so currently this project is not set as per ACES workflow. Why? Because I had to project these images which were not in ACES workflow, they were in sRGB. So how to do it inside Substance is go to your configuration, color management. When it says color management legacy, change it to open color IO. Open color IO configuration. Substance, switch to custom and assign your own open IO ACES system. Don't rely on these, because what I have faced is I chose ACES 1.03 from here, and then in Maya, in Unreal, when I chose the same, there was a difference, color difference. So I do have color IO somewhere here. Where is it? Here, 1.03. So this is the path. So download it from online and then use the one you have. Don't rely on this one, Substance, blah blah blah. Maybe they fixed it in latest versions. After this, these values need to be changed. So 8-bit images need to go as utility textures. Utility sRGB textures. 8-bit and also the 16-bit file. Utility sRGB texture. Floating point images need to go as linear. Utility linear sRGB. Then material color space file also need to go as texture. Utility sRGB texture. And 8-bit images, again exporting, utility sRGB texture. Linear, that's it. It will go dark, but that's fine. So as you see here, it says S is sRGB by default. Switching off, on, it goes down. This is fine because it's having much more range to the colors. This is why I didn't use the sRGB for this file, because it was making my textures darker. So I had to go back and recalibrate those. I was not taking that much stress, so I switched back to normal legacy ones. So this is how it should be to start with, and from here when you export the textures, it will export sRGB or whatever exporting system you have assigned. So if it is 8-bit, it already says sRGB textures 8-bit. Now if you want, you can switch to the normal one, but that will give you very different results. So let's talk about this one also. So if you are using DirectX, their normal maps will be fine in Unreal. If you are using OpenGL, you might need to switch your y-axis inside Unreal Engine. I'll show you where it is. So this is from Substance, how to set up this and all the shaders, textures. This is very vague way of doing it, I know, but because I am doing R&D, so that's why it keeps changing, and that's why it's like this, but not organized the way it should be. Let's see this another file. So this is now opening the ape file. This one is in sRGB. Let me recheck what settings I told you. Is it correct or not? Yes. Only thing is this floating point image is exporting as an ACIS, not linear. Rest is same. So again, there are some masks for color and hair. These are all painted or used the generators. This is all painted. For this one I actually took reference from online apes. First plan was to just paint this guy, have this one, so half of the renders are in this mode and half of them are in this mode, just to test how the color variation or the skin reacts. Then adding some of these details, scratches, these are all masks again, just like face mask, beard mask for creation of hair. Normal map mask for nose. This is a body mask for hair creation. Any questions regarding these, please ask. Then we will switch to next part. Can you share the ASIS preset? And yes, I'll show you. I'll open that. Changing the project setting, importing texture settings. Changing the project settings in what? In Unreal. Where did you get OCIO config file? It's online available, OpenIO. You will get it somewhere. Here, OCIO download files. Here it is. Version 2 is also available. Just type OpenIO config file, you'll get it. And what was the other part? How long it took to texture? Texture was fast. It was not that because my main motive was to have these things inside Unreal. So all of this is done to learn more about Unreal, to do R&D inside Unreal, not in Substance or Maya. All that is really secondary. So those walk cycles were just made to test how to transfer and to learn and to create the workflow between these two softwares. So I didn't spend much time inside Unreal or in Substance Painter. Texturing was all done very fast, like a day or two, that's it. And after that, in between, I just keep tweaking it as per my requirement. Okay, so now we can jump to the Maya hair file. It's not written here, but I realize we need to see the hair files, so you know how hair was done. Let's see lion first. So all the hair is done in Yeti. I started in action, then I found there is a problem with action. Problem was that there is no UV information of the hair inside action, so you need to bake it, and that baking takes like 4 or 5 hours every time. So you're making hair in Maya and you export it and check it inside Unreal. If in between I have to bake and wait for 3-4 hours every time, it's a very time consuming thing, you know, because you do the change and again bake the UVs of that action file to see as per the textures. Otherwise there is no texture, it's just simple plain color assigned to the whole thing. I wanted to see the textures, like this texture. This guy. So if you need this texture to be assigned to the fur in with action, you need to run a script which is available online. Small script, but it takes forever, like 5 hours, 6 hours. For the body it took me like 6 hours, so I just gave up. And then I started working with Yeti. In Yeti that's not the case, you just export it and it already have the UVs you need. So if I show you the groom, I need to reopen it. So enable licensing, some licensing issue is there, that's why it's taking so much time. Now it's working. So this is the face. So now if I click the face width and all, it only generates hair on face. So this mask is created in an inside substance which I showed to you earlier, and that is connected here in this texture. So if I check this file, this is just the face, and this is the lower part of the face. That's why it's only generated on the face here. Similar to this, there are more. This is the main. Takes time to generate. So here is the main. And exporting these is really easy. Just select the node, Yeti node from Yeti, and export Unreal ABC. Again, we will only export one single alembic, not the whole thing. You can cache it and have the dynamics working and cache as per the frame, so have the wind and interaction and everything. That's just different thing. But for normally to bind and everything, we just need one single file. So for this one, we just need one single export. And so this is the one. So all the files are here: whiskers, tail, nails, soft hair, chin hair, body hair, and main. So currently this is the main. So if you see, it's already 205 MB file, which is a lot, and this is really optimized one, trust me. This is not exactly how it should be. If I go in real world scale and to make it look more realistic and more as per the thing, as per the width of the hair, then it might go up to 1 GB or more than that very easily. Currently what I am using is really optimized version. I'm not going beyond a certain limit because it will be too heavy to render. So yeah, this is, and if I show you the files here, chin, body, main. So this is chin, grooming, guides. So if you know how to guide, groom, use the grooms, these are the guides. Main, groom, very easy, simple. Guides. So these are the guides on which those hair files are generated. Whiskers, body, if you see, there's nothing fancy over here. It's all very straightforward, easy, simple. And most complicated thing is deciding how much hair do you need, what is the width. So there's a lot of back and forth. That's why Action was not working for me, because every time I have to export it, I again have to wait for 5-6 hours just to bake that UV information on those hair curves. Here it's just easy. You just have the hair, go to Yeti and export, and there you just re-import it, and that's it, done. 2 minutes. From here you just save it, and inside Unreal you re-import it, which is already there, and you can see it live changing as per the animation is also going. So you can pick things. Okay, you need to modify this part, that part. So I'm having Unreal open, Maya open, just exporting from here, importing, re-import, see it rendered, not just this way. You can't judge anything from here. Let me show you the second character, which is our ape. This one is really easy guy. If you want more control, go for Ornatrix, because Ornatrix has more control like hair width and all, which also works inside Unreal. Yeti, Action and Houdini Room, all these are baked, so you can't change anything in Unreal. So if the hair width is this, then it remains the same. There is no option to change it, but with Ornatrix you can change curls, you can add more noise, you can change the width, length, and also there is a lot of things you can change. So here is this guy. So he also have eyelashes, body groom, soft hair, peach fuzz. I'll show you these in short. Now you will understand what is going on. And again, here are the Yeti nodes. So this is for the body. I might take one more a separate session for these things, how to texture in Substance, how to groom in Yeti, and maybe how to composite in Nuke. So these are all together, they are their own big tasks to show you how it works. So yeah, anything if you want to talk about this, or any questions you have before I close this. Yeah, as I said, why do you prefer Yeti Action? So the problem is not Action, problem is from Action to Unreal Engine, because it doesn't have UV information, so you need to bake it, and that baking takes time. With Yeti, it's very easy. You just export it and it's already there. So that 3-4 hours in between, I can't wait for that, because I need speed. That's why I chose Unreal Engine, not doing in Maya. So if I can wait, then wait and do it in Maya itself. With Yeti, it's easy to export and get it done. Also, I used it before, so I was familiar with Yeti. I might switch to Ornatrix later, because with Ornatrix there are more possibilities to choose to do inside Unreal, not going back to Maya. Because currently if I have to change some noise, some curls, or add some clumps, I have to go back in Maya, again do the changes, export it, import, re-import inside Unreal and see it. With Ornatrix I might cut few more steps about these, changing the clumps, width values, adding noise, or changing the width of the hair. All these things will be cut, so it will be much more faster to do the changes inside Unreal. So because end point is getting the output out of Unreal, not from Maya. So as much less time I can spend in Maya creating things or doing the changes, it's more beneficial for me. So definitely Action is good if you are not exporting anything out of Maya. Just do it there and export it, it works. But if you are exporting it, then it doesn't work. There is a sync problem with Maya and Action. Unreal and Action, because it's not getting developed from last 3-4 years. And Ornatrix has its own version for Unreal, so you can create here inside Unreal itself, not in Maya. You can create here guides, and here generation is also there inside Unreal. So I don't know how it will work with Maya, because that pipeline, I don't know how it will sync, because how we will cache it inside Unreal or inside Maya, how it will interact with the objects, because if the object is animated inside Maya, the hair should be inside Maya itself. So Netrix do have two plugins, two separate plugins. One is in Unreal, one is in Maya. Maybe they can interchange the hair, so it is made in Unreal and then exported to Maya, cached back to Unreal. I don't know. I'll have to check how it works. But I see it has some potential for sure. Let's go to the next part. Next part is texture is done, so I have to open this file. Where is it? I have already shown you this file. Let's see this one. This is the interior shot. This guy. Now I'm doing something deliberately just to show you something very important. Now if you see the hair, it's all jumbled up. You see? The hair is going crazy because there is a limit boot space, booting time, RAM memory, which is limited to 400 MB. So when it's loading, if that memory fills up, you don't see a lot of these things. So all these bindings and all, they just go away. So now we don't have it all. If I reopen the file, now before opening the level, this guy, we need to re-import the assets, the main assets. Re-import. What will happen when it's re-importing, it will also generate the binding. also the anime. So if this happens to you, this is how you fix it. And this happens if you have a lot of hair, like these shorts have a lot. So you re-import the T-pose and the animation, then you open your level. And now you see it's all working. It's not going crazy. So sometimes if you see that things are not working, it may be because of the booting memory is not that much. That's why you're losing few things. Yeah. Now if we talk about this particular scene, let's see what is happening here. Let's hide the assets, not all the assets, but the characters. Again, hierarchy, very important. So set is here. Now if we see the lighting, we have character lighting and set lighting. Let's hide the characters and also hide the character lighting. Now what we have left is these three lights and the scene. If I show you what we have here, is sun, sunlight, which is just a simple directional light, yeah, and intensity, in that intensity 1.2, keep it like that. Same thing for all other lights, intensity 1.2. And there is one more thing I always do is go to your global emission, lumen advanced tab, diffuse color boost. By default it's on 1, so your shot looks like this. Dark, patchy. Yeah, so this looks odd because after so much light it should be lit properly a little more. So diffuse color boost gives you that refined look. This is happening just with 3 lights. So if I switch off these lights, so this one is coming from that way, and this is also controlled to have this gradient inside, and the second light is from other side, other window. This is also having the gradient, not this much, but to have, that's it. 3 lights and we are done with our vanilla lighting setup. Now on top of this, as per the mood, lighting, whatever art direction, you can change things, but keep in mind there is no need to have thousands of lights inside the set if you do it properly and you know what to do. I also found these things after doing so much research, and I really don't touch anything else at all. So if you see all of these shots, none of these things are touched. Global emission, all are at default values, no changes at all, nothing. Don't touch them. If you don't know what they do, stay away. because I have done these things because what I saw online, people were doing, okay, increase this, then that was creating some other issues which I don't know how to fix. But this is causing that problem. You never know. You will have to dig it up and learn it after months. That this stupid tip somebody gave me online, and that's why it is happening this way. So think about it before touching anything, that what it does. Read about it first. Okay, this is why it is here, and this is why it is in this value. Why they have this distance value set at something already, not 10,000. It's why it's not 0. There is a meaning to it. Don't just increase it to get the quality. It doesn't work that way, because it will just add some more time to your render. Yeah, so same thing for skylight and all. It's all default, no changes. Don't touch these things. So skylight, don't touch it. Post process, nothing is, it's all default. If you see, everything is on default. Only thing I do change is lens flare values, because I don't want lens flare, and vignettes. I don't need vignettes. Rest everything is on default, no changes. You don't need to. Interiors, yes, do change this diffuse boost. It will give you sorry, excuse me, it will give you better final results. And then now we switch on the characters and character lighting. So same for the characters, we only have 3 lights. One is coming from that side, another one is coming from the other side. This is the fill light, and there is one coming from that side. That's it. So as per your vanilla system is your flat looking starting file. This is more than enough. You don't need thousands of lights to do the magic. So as per the console variables we speak about, there are hundreds of these, and I found them slowly, but the useful ones are only these, which are over here. If I make them bigger, okay, it will take time. So these are the ones which are useful. Skylight integration type, this is important, keep it at 1. And also in doing this will also increase your heaviness, so your viewport will be heavy. Render time, it's there. So for this shot, the render time is 2 seconds per frame, not more than that. So if you can take the screenshot, I will post these on my same post somewhere. Yeah. So what they will do is, this will give you super sampling, this will give you skylight, better skylight. This is skylighting shadow sample. If you don't increase it, you will get noise. Same thing for this. This is also will give you noise if you don't increase it. DOF depth. So for this I can show you the example what this thing does. I hope you guys are still there. I know it's time taking, but can't help it. If I show you the example what it does in this guy, not this one, here, just look at these edges. These edges, you will see something shimmering. Do you see what is happening here? Especially if you see here, you will see. Also see here in this area. Yeah. So this is what this command fixes, this hair strand depth. This skylight distance threshold will give you occlusion to the hair. I will show you the change, how it works. This will change how the occlusion is working for the hair. So hair to hair occlusion calculation distance is this. I keep it at 80. You can have it more or less. So if you keep it less, your hair will be brighter, and also it will look like it doesn't have shadows. So depends as per your lighting setup. Compose after translucency. There are 3-4 different modes. Keep it at 0 if you want the hair to be visible after the glass. So if the character is behind a glass, compose after translucency, keep it at 0. Hair strength visibility PPLL. So this thing actually makes it softer, so your restoration becomes very soft. So if you need soft hair, this is what works, and this is also very heavy to calculate. As soon as you put this value, your scene will be like 10 times heavier. So just keep it in your last rendering commands, not on your viewport. Hair occlusion threshold. This threshold is for calculation. This is for the calculation about the distance of hair occlusion itself from the skylight. Similar to this one. So this is skylighting distance threshold. This is hair occlusion distance threshold. So this works on mesh and this works on hair. Now except these, don't touch anything if you don't know what it is. And also I have seen people doing a lot of things which they say it works this way, it works that way. If I show you, I do have those values here, especially these ones, hair strength restoration scale. So people tend to go with 0.1 and voxel world size 0.1. I also used to do this. Don't do that, because as soon as you go from this value to this value, you will start seeing noise. So there is a threshold after which you need to have much higher anti-aliasing values. So from 0.3 to 0.1, I might need to go from 16 sample to 128 samples just to get finer look, because the hair is so thin after doing these two value changes, because this is making it 5 times thinner. If you see it here, yes, if you need quality, if you have more time, you see how it changes. So if you see the quality level, it's much more smoother, much more nicer. If I increase it, it's not that good looking. So if you have time, go for it, but again it will generate a lot of noise, and same thing for this guy. So if you have time and you can stay, go for it. But I will say test it with default values first and see how it looks, because this is a different representation of what you will get out of rendering, because there you will also get anti-aliasing and these commands calculated. All these commands are nothing more than just added by default from here. So what I found is, after rendering, these were not rendering on cinematic settings. So if I go down, you will see these values change. Wait, let me go to none. Now go to epic. So we got some values automatically. I didn't do anything else. And as soon as I go to cinematic, these values will change again. As you see, anti-aliasing quality is 4. So this is what I saved as preset and added excuse me, and added these on top of these, so that when I'm rendering this, it also matches what I'm seeing here. Instead, what I was seeing is it was not rendering on cinematic settings, even though the render settings was having the cinematic setting assigned. So in our configuration, I had this game override settings assigned to movie cinematic quality settings, but when I saw the render ends, you will get these commands. It was not at this level, at FX quality 5 blah blah blah, it was not there. So I saved all of these and added few more from my side. Anything about this setup, you need any questions regarding this, please ask. Then we will move to next one. Yeti simulation with substance, yeah, we'll see to that if we can do. Double S, triple S, subsurface scattering, yeah, we do have that. I'll show you how it works. And one more thing I had to show you, which I told you I'll show you. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on. So now let me open this project again. Now if you see, this project is in my C drive sorry, which is also my SSD. So if you have your project and your Unreal installed in your other drive, which is not SSD, your projects run slow, and that slow is like 30-40% slow. It's too slow, you can feel that slowness. So before that my project was in D drive, then I just moved it to C drive. Now it's really fast, also rendering fast. Also I have tested these things with on server. So if the files are on server, project is on server, then the rendering and this thing overall is slower. Keep it in your solid state SSD drive in your local, and everything runs faster, also renders faster. Again, we need to do the, oh yeah, you asked me to show you the setting for ASIS. I'll show you what to do. So if I don't do this, the hair will go wacky, crazy. Re-importing will just force it to calculate the binding. And if I get the permission from these guys, I will upload this whole video on YouTube soon. If you have any other questions, start writing, because after this I'll render it and show you in Nuke, and then yeah, I'll take the final questions. Let's talk about something else before we go into that. Yeah. So if you see this image, this is CIE color space. So we need to understand few words clearly, what they do and what it is. Okay. So let me just color space sRGB and this is, yep, this is one. So if you see, this is the overall color wheel, and this red one is sRGB color space, and the magenta, this one is ACIS color space, ACCG. So terminologies are different for these two things, and there is one more which I'll also explain. sRGB is for standard RGB values for all your electronic devices and everything, which was made like in 90s. And now we are using ACCG, which has more color information. As you can see, it covers a lot more than what sRGB covers. So linear is not a color space. Okay, linear is a workflow. First thing, so linear is not a color space, linear is a workflow. So you are going from A to B to C to D in linear fashion. You are not changing anything, that's why it's called linear. Okay, color space are different. ACCG have more colors, like 10 colors. For example, sRGB have 7 colors, 3 more colors extra with ACCG. That's why you get much more variation and color information in ACCG. There is one more thing which is called LUT, which is also known as color space. It's not a color space, it's just a way to change the colors, but the rules has to be used from the color space. So if you are using sRGB, you can use a LUT, but it will still remain in sRGB. If you are using ACCG, you can use a LUT or change the LUT values, but it will remain in ACCG. So rules are made by ACCG. You are temporarily changing the color values. In other terms, if you have one image, single image, which is sRGB, you can use a LUT lookup table to change the look of this image using these 7 colors information. If you try to use that same LUT on a ACCG image which has 10 colors, it won't work. It will look odd, it will look stupid, because it was made for the sRGB color space, not for ACIS. So ACIS is a color space, sRGB is a color space, but LUT is not a color space. LUT is on top of these rules which are made by ACCG and sRGB. So if you want to change sRGB to ACCG, it's not a LUT. Okay, it's changing a lot of things. So first thing, you need to understand ACCG or sRGB is not LUT, and this is not linear workflow, it's a color space. Linear workflow is different than color system. So we are using linear workflow is different than ACCG color space. So maybe you are using ACCG here in this software, in next one you are not using it, then you are changing the workspace, or you are breaking the linear workflow. You are not using the same workflow. But if you are using linear, maybe you are not using sRGB here, maybe you are using ACCG in other one, then you are breaking the color space. So linear workflow with color space is a system. So are you using ACCG with linear workflow? It's different. Are you using ACCG with non-linear workflow? Is different. So if you're starting with ACCG from scratch, Photoshop, Substance Painter, Maya, Unreal Engine, Nuke, Premiere Pro, or DaVinci Resolve, or any Adobe Premiere, any editing software, all these need to follow the same rules. Photoshop need to have the ACES color space, Substance ACES, which I showed to you. Maya, it's already there on your viewport, it's there. Nuke, I'll show you how to do that. In Premiere or in DaVinci Resolve, you also need to change that. So for now I don't have Resolve, but it's very easy to find and change. But till Nuke I will show you what to do. So please understand and don't do these words. Don't use ACCG linear space. It's two different things. And also remember this diagram, because what we'll do, I'll show you what the problem is. So now we have this scene, and again we run the magic number, all these commands, thousands of them. Let's hide lion just to make the scene lighter, or maybe we can switch off PPLL and our shot becomes light. This one command can make it 10 times heavier. Even on my PC it doesn't respond. Now if you see in this, I am using a CIO display, linear sRGB and ACES one. So how to do this? What I have to do, so you right click here, go to your miscellaneous and find open color IO configuration, rename it whatever you want, then open it. After opening, maybe let me create a new one. After opening it, you need 3 different things. 2 we will use directly here, and third one will be used when we render it. So create 2 here, and desired display. The first one we need is utility linear sRGB, this guy. But as you see, I'm not getting that here, because this one is using my configuration file, which is on my D drive. This one is using default OCIO, which is assigned by Unreal Engine. So this is what I was talking about earlier, that use your own file. So now I've used this file, which is my own, on my own system. If I create the same thing again, utility, now I have the options. Yeah. Linear sRGB. Second one we need ACES, output ACCG. The third one we also need ACES sRGB. Why it's not showing me? Yeah. So what these 3 things are doing, so same thing, this is Planet of the Apes, that's why it's called POTA. So you go to lit, enable display, assign this file whatever you have, and then the first option you change it to linear sRGB, so that your lights and everything linearized into sRGB values. The second thing is ACCG, so that your viewport becomes ACCG. If you don't have it, it won't show you ACES colors on your viewport. If I don't change it, it's saying invalid value. Also the scene is much more brighter. Now it's correct. So these 2 things you need to do if you want to see the colors in ACCG color space on your viewport. Okay, so this is for the viewport. Now if we go to render, let's talk about render and render settings now. So I do have this preset saved. I will explain you everything now one by one. If you have any questions, write them down, because I know most of the things people are struggling with is with render settings and lighting, because that's why you are in Unreal Engine. So as per the format, I'm using EXR. Use DWAA instead of zip or PIS, which PIS is default, which is 3 times more heavier than PIS, and this is lightweight and the quality is same. So this is DreamWorks format. So compression, use this. If you have multi-layer, like you have passes in it, switch on multi-layer, otherwise don't, just switch it off. Use deferred rendering and for anti-aliasing. So all these settings are available here when you want to choose them. Anti-aliasing, I don't go beyond 24 at all, at any cost. None, never. If you have to go beyond 24, it means your file requires cleanup or optimization, or you are doing something wrong. Till now, whatever shots you have seen, any shot which I have posted online, where were we? I showed to you when we started. They were all exported at 7 samples or 15 samples most. Nothing is being rendered more than 15 samples at all. All of those renders which you saw, and they all are noise free, none. Now we talk about these two values. So what is special sample value and what is temporal sample count, what it changes. So there are two things you need to think about. So temporal sample count is more about how to calculate the frames, previous frames and upcoming frames. So when do you need them? To calculate the motion blur. So if you need more motion blur to be smooth enough, increase the temporal samples. Special sample count is about the frame itself, not the relation in those frames. So if you need your frame to be more clear, increase the special samples. So I have tried, if you are not rendering motion blur and you don't have FX, Niagara FX, switching these two doesn't make any change. So maybe you have 15 samples up top and 1 sample at temporal at 1. The quality, the image is pixel to pixel same. If you have combination of these two, like 4 up, 4 down, 4 for the then still the pixel quality is the same, no changes at all. Only thing changes when you have motion blur or FX, something related to Niagara. Then changing these two values changes the output, and that is also smudging and all these things, not about the noise and all. Noise remains the same. If it is not there, it's not there. Whatever you do, you maybe keep it 15 above or 1 down, or combination of 4 it's the same thing. I don't find any changes. Only thing is change I do is I don't use 4 and 4. Is if I need more temporal samples for motion blur, so increase the motion blur temporal samples and keep the special samples at 1. It's the same thing, because the final output is multiplication of these two to your images, to your screen resolution actually. If we clean, then here we have render warm-up count. By default this is 32 and 0. Keep it at 300 at least, so that everything, all these warm-ups and everything is calculated, so you get clean start of the frame. Otherwise your few of your first frames will be smudgy or noisy or blurred or having the ghosting. These things will happen if you don't have these. I think the latest render which I did had this issue. I forgot to increase this, so my latest render had few stupid frames. Yeah, let me show you. I think, yeah, So if you see here on this heater here, you'll see something is happening initially because I didn't had enough frames. These few frames, it's changing. So if you have enough frames initially, it won't happen. Then now it's all clean after that. Render warm-up frame, if you want something to be simulated and also your things need to reach some place, like FX need to have that fog to be generated, rendered, because something is going forward. So you need those frames to be rendered so that it's there already when it starts the actual frame rendering. Keep this thing up. Use camera cut for render warm-up. So your camera cuts, like if you have two camera cuts, which I showed to you earlier in linked file, we had two cameras, one here and another one here. If you want the warm-ups to be recalculated so that there is no jerk in between, switch this on. Camera, frame center, and frame close and frame open. This depends on your aperture, how you want the frame to be captured. So aperture is working like this or this or this, whatever way your camera aperture is working. So when it starts and when it's closed and when it opens, in between where you want the frame to be rendered, starting of the aperture time, this shutter timing, end of the timing, or center of the timing. This is important because if something is moving this way, if you capture it at frame center, you will get the blur here and also here because it's calculating both the sides. If you have it frame start, then you will not get that blur in front of it. If you have frame end, you might get more in front, just like what you have in behind the character. So it depends where you want to capture the frame. Overscan percentage, if you want to render overscan, few more extra pixels so that you can give some more motion inside Nuke or any editing software. Render all cameras. If you have multiple cameras attached to the same shot, then you can switch this on. Color output, this is where our configuration file goes, and this is where our third guy comes in place. So if you remember, this file has three inputs. We already used ASYS sRGB and linear sRGB. We already used this one. These two used here. Now the third one comes here. So transform source. So first you need to assign the file. Transform source is linear sRGB, so we are linearly transferring the file from here to there. Transform destination is ASYS CG. Again, this is the color space we are transferring to, so it's not baked in, it's linear. It's linear sRGB, it's not baked ASYS. So we are saying please send linear file from here to there, but keep in mind that the second software will also use the same color space ASYS CG which is used here. This is what we have done here. If you do this, then what we will do in Nuke, it will match what you have in your viewport here. Console variables, same file which we had here, all those commands, 6 of those and multiple of these which I saved. This preset is fed in here. And game overrides, default, nothing fancy. Only thing I change is shadow distance scale a little less to speed up the rendering process. Don't change it because it might give you noise, especially in foliages if you change these values. But yes, changing this will speed up the render. So shadow radius threshold by default is 001. So what I said is, so what this threshold is saying is object like this big, smaller object like this one should not have shadows. So you are saving the time on not calculating the shadows for smaller objects below that threshold. So if you increase just a little bit, it makes a huge difference. So it's not calculating a lot of objects which are smaller than this threshold value. yeah, that's it for this. And then output, we do have this output directory, so it's going in render, and there is one, this token system. So what this token system is saying, it is saying first level name. So as per my level name, create a folder, as per sequence name, create a version name, then again create a folder with sequence name and version, then put the frame number in it. That's why when I render, it goes in this level name, sequencer name, and this version number. And then, if I keep rendering it again and again, I will keep getting these versions. I don't need to assign any place, I will automatically get this. So I just need to assign these tokens and this place. That's it, done. I will always, as I keep rendering it, I will keep getting more and more versions. I don't need to assign any place. And this is the output file format for resolution. And you can assign custom frames if you want. By default it will take whatever you have here. So currently it's start from 0 to 80. By default it will take that, or you can assign your own. Auto version need to on if you want the versions when you are re-rendering the file. So these are the render settings. If you have any questions regarding these, please ask now. Nobody have any questions? Okay. Let's see how to what do we get if I render this. So I hope everything is clear now how things are working, and I tried my best. Let's render this shot. So it's in movie render queue with the settings which I showed to you, and yeah, 80 frames. Then we will jump into pipeline, blah blah blah. What is this? What is rendering? Shot one cam. Yep. Keep it low. Let's wait. Let's see. Any questions while it's rendering? I think it's rendering wrong, but maybe it will switch to the camera. For commercial projects, rendering in Unreal, do we have to pay Unreal? It's not about commercial projects, it's about the company's revenue. If it is more than 100 million or something, then you have to pay. Also, the latest license for Unreal, it's like $1,800, I believe. You have to pay if you are earning more than that. Less than that, it's free, I think. If I know it, yeah, it's something like that. Do you change the Unreal settings from sRGB to SSB, or you leave it as default? Yes, you have to change the settings. I forgot to mention that. Wait, why it's not working? Playback range is 0. Oh, playback range is 0, that's why. So while I was explaining you what playback range is 0. Oh yeah, 80. This is the last file. So you need to go into project settings. Sorry, I have opened different one. And in render, you need to change this working color space. So by default this is at sRGB track 709. You need to change it to ACCG. Sorry, I forgot to explain this one. And also there are more. I think that's it. This need to be inclusive. If you're using skin cache, I mean geometry cache, skeleton meshes, keep it at inclusive. And for, yeah, if you have more bones issues with FBX files, keep it at 16-bit and use unlimited bone influence, so that you don't get issues with skin meshes, FBXs especially. Any other question whilst rendering? We will then move to nuke and render out the video. Okay, let's wait for 5 minutes at least. This was just an overview, so I'll explain more in depth in upcoming sessions. I wanted it to be on Zoom, but when I saw the numbers, then I switched to YouTube. But as we can see, not many people came. Next I will go with Zoom call. So that you guys can talk. So it's warming up frames. Any other questions if you have, we can speak now. We can discuss anything. I think let's switch this off, and because I do have these renders already on my drive, let's directly jump into that. Can I have recordings. Yeah, maybe because I have sent the email to the guys who have the rights to these assets. If they allow, I will, because as they have mentioned on their websites that these assets are only for showreel purposes, so that's why. I will upload if they allow me. If I'll just wait, and you guys need to wait for few days. If they reply, then I will definitely upload. The one is Kyle Feggins and second is Turong CG. So both of these guys have sent them mails regarding these assets that I have changed this, and this is for free. And if you allow, maybe I will send them this video also so that they know what I'm trying to upload. Let's see if they allow, then for sure I'll upload it. Oh, let's crash it. Move to nuke and see what we do in nuke. So I already have these shots rendered. This is the shot. Yeah. And if you see the render time, I hope it is visible. Yeah. So if you see the render time from here, it's 23 frames per minute. So it's close to 2.2 seconds per frame, which is really fast for frame like HD frames and with XRs. This guy, and there is no noise at all, nothing. So also I prefer not to exceed 15 seconds per frame. If it is more than that, then change your settings or optimize the assets. 4 frames per minute is too much. So what do we do in here to keep the ASYS workflow? So here press S and you get into project settings, go to color, OCIO, so by default it's on nuke, OCIO, custom, change, and again same directory, same files. Yeah, 1.03 blah blah blah, and open. Then by default all this will come as they are. If not, change this to ASYS CG and change this to sRGB ASYS. This is the same thing which we did to our viewport inside Unreal when we chose enable, and this is the same thing we are doing here. So we are saying use ASYS sRGB for the viewport, and as you see it already changed. Now if you do this, it will match exactly to your viewport in Unreal Engine. What you have there, you will get it here. Just these few things. One more thing, this file, double click it, and by default this also need to be on SCCG. If it is coming on, if this is on something else, change it to SCCG and those settings. And from here we need to write it. So I already have this one here. Let's take one more version of it. So why I'm doing this in MPEG 4, So now I'm outputting it. Now I don't need ACCG, because if you're outputting it for edit, maybe ProRes or something like that, then go for ACIS. But right now I'm outputting it for final version for this screen to be shown. So I need to output it on sRGB. Color space, output sRGB, not ACCG. Codec, currently this is just a preview file, H264, and that's it. So I found this one, if I render it this way, it matches what we have here on screen. If I change this to something else like Sorensen or Cinepack or animation, the color changes. That codec also changes the color. So for your preview purposes, use H264, or you can also use Avid DNX codec with higher MB bits, megabytes. For preview, maybe 145. For smaller files, just for the preview level. For directors, maybe use the higher ones. I use 64 because the files are very small, and the color is same, exactly what we see here. The render output will match to it. And yeah, that's it. Anything, if you have questions about this, please ask. This is what you render, and from here it is perfect, done. Do we have option to loop? Maybe. Yeah. And this file is right now 54, 53, 54 MB. And if you want to still optimize it, download Handbrake. This is small free software. Drag this file on it. This will create M4V file format. Go to videos and constant quality, make it 17. As you go this way, the file size increase, but also it will increase the quality. I use 17, 15 to 17. That is more than enough, and that's it. Start encoding, and it's done. Now if I go to this file, the file is now 4 MB, from 54 MBs to 4 MB. Now let's play it. It's in videos here. Same file but in 4 MB. This is not 54 MB. Very small file, very less quality loss, not even visible. And this is one more file. This is also one more initial test I did with the line. Any other questions, guys? Or if you have any more questions, or you can call it a day for. Anything. Waiting. So next session we will see. You can also suggest. So I'll create a post for next session. You can suggest what we can do, and to help me, you can either post on my LinkedIn. You can go and do the recommendation thing, maybe that will also help me. So on your LinkedIn, on my profile, not my profile, in your profile, you see these recommendations here, so you can write recommendation what you like these guys have sent me. This will help me if you like it. And yeah, that's it. Anything you want, let me know, I'll do it. Any which way is better to put my model in turntable in Unreal? I think you joined late. Yeah, if it is on T-pose, just import everything. You have the cameras, the rotation, everything you can do in Unreal also. Or as Muhammad is saying, you can do that all in Maya and just import everything with animation. So yeah, thank you very much. If you have anything else, please let me know. You guys have my email ID for next session. Wait for it. I will design something because there is a lot of information. This was just a small overview. What is done, what I have done. So also I have only learned for movies. I don't know about games that much because that was my priority. So I didn't learn to create the blueprints for the games and all. So I do create blueprints just for the movies and all. So we might see that also coming in next. Yeah, anything you have got, any more questions, if you have got, you can talk to me anytime you want. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for coming. And you can, yeah, use LinkedIn and share about this session, whatever you like. If you like, share it. And I'll love to see or read your comments. And yeah, this will boost my energy also if it is good. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day.